It's 5 minutes with me.
Hello, friends. Marko here. Welcome to 5 Minutes with Marko, and happy May to you. So, as a lifelong youth worker, I have wrestled with framing my understanding of adolescence, both in response, on one hand, to research and listening to those who know much more than I do, while on the other hand, still being critical and not simply acquiescing to damaging and biased cultural opinions of teenagers. As a result, I've rejected the assumption held by most that the teenage years are necessarily a time of storm and stress. Stanley Hall, the historical person I'd like to punch in the throat more than anyone other than Hitler, coined this phrase in 1904. It was based on Hall's super weird worldview, dominated by a now completely debunked anthropological theory called recapitulation. He concluded that young people are, by evolutionary necessity, in a season of storm and stress. In fact, he referred to this life stage as savages. And by the way, children were to Hall pre-human. Hall said young people are unavoidably in the grips of rebellion, moodiness, volatility, and a host of other negative descriptors. No positive descriptors at all. I reject that, and I hope you do also. Instead, I think of adolescence as an overlay of two realities: new cognitive capacity, based in or anchored in God's creation intentions, and cultural permission, which kind of says, go ahead, young person, we're giving you some time to figure out who you are. These provide space for the working out of three interwoven tasks: identity, who am I? Agency, how do my choices matter? And belonging, to whom and where do I belong? And I believe that the teenage years are a gorgeously simmering goulash of these three tasks. But those three tasks are not limited to teenagers. As an adult, and a reasonably old one at that, I continue to periodically wrestle with those same questions. And as a person in ministry, and all that entails and implies, the working out of those tasks, as we all must do from time to time, gets awkward, particularly when we experience significant change in life. Because we youth workers live very public lives, at least we should to some extent, we're either somewhat authentic and therefore public, or we're private and limiting our relational connection and impact. It's tough to think of another profession that calls for life in a fishbowl to the same extent, maybe national level politicians. And here's what I find, both from my own experience and from watching the lives of hundreds of youth workers in our year-long coaching program. Pastors are notoriously bad at separating who I am from what I do. Side note, right now, some of you are thinking, but I'm not a pastor. I'm using pastor in the broad sense here, minister, including all of us in the ministry of pastoring others, whether you're a volunteer or employed by a church, ordained or not. On one hand, these two questions, who I am and what I do, are somewhat inseparable. There's no denying that what I do and who I am are intertwined, informing each other and cuddling. Let's say they're spooning even. But if who I am and what I do are one and the same, I'm in trouble, and so are those I'm in significant relationship with. And frankly, so is whatever ministry I'm a part of. One of the points I make when I teach on these adolescent tasks is that today's teenagers use the belonging task as a lens through which they view and work out the other two tasks. In other words, to whom and where do I belong will give me insight into how my choices matter and who I am. This, by the way, is a major shift from previous epochs of youth culture when the other tasks were the lenses. As I think about my own identity as a person in ministry, maybe I should think of that adolescent lens as not such a bad thing. Of course, pre or belonging predates creation, and our desire to experience belonging is a reflection of being made in the image of God, who has pre-eternally existed in relationship. And after all, if I have a healthy and honest and theologically informed understanding of my belonging to Christ and to the community of Christ, that could be pretty helpful in developing a healthy identity spooning with what I do. Through that lens, who I am starts to take on distinct hues of I am one who is following Christ now and through death and resurrection. And I am one part of the body, the bride of Christ. I might have a different role, but I exist in authentic relationship with a community. Honestly, that sounds so much better, so much more life-giving than an identity merely formed by what I do. Hey, you might know that the youth cartel's main thing, the thing we founded ourselves on is the youth ministry coaching program. It is a year-long leadership development, a whole life leadership development program for youth workers in a cohort approach with 10 youth workers in a group that meets on a learning journey 6 times over the course of a year. And man, we've had 800 people go through it now. And I can't tell you how consistently I see significant transformation in the lives and the ministries of the people who are a part of it. It's such an honor to be a part of it and to walk together with youth workers. We're always trying to fill cohorts. Let me tell you some of the ones we're looking to fill right now. We've got a Western Pennsylvania, like Pittsburgh area one that's getting pretty close to being filled. That one's going to be a hybrid cohort with 3 in-person meetings and 3 online meetings, which makes it more accessible for a lot of people and also a little bit less cost to it. A Sioux Falls, South Dakota cohort. I know that sounds random. There were lots of reasons why we tried to start one there. That one's been lagging, lingering at about half filled for a while, and would really love to see that one move forward. Again, that one is also that hybrid approach, which means it's a little less money and 3 in-person meetings, so you could potentially travel further. We've got one in Springfield, Illinois that's the same. We've got a Raleigh, North Carolina cohort forming that, and one in North Georgia, Atlanta area. We're thinking about reopening a San Diego one and a Denver one. All of those, just kind of let me know. Reach out to me. If you have any questions about this program, I'd love to connect with you. It's just the coolest thing ever. Hope you'll consider joining us.
The Youth Cartel Podcast Network.